Welcome to DeFi Crypto Today. Binance is in the news again. There's a lot of news about Binance these days. I'll give you my impression of what's going on with Binance. Basically, Binance is the number one crypto exchange in the world, and they're extremely active, creating all kinds of new products that are crypto related, including NFTs and so on. And they got into trouble with regulators because of the way they are structured. Essentially, Binance was trying to be everything for everybody. It's difficult to be a crypto exchange and be at the same time be CeFi and DeFi. You can't quite do that. Basically, if you're going to operate and it requires a login with your name and identification, you're CeFi, you're centralized finance, and governments want to regulate you. Then, in order to regulate you, you need to have an actual physical office in the country where you operate. Okay? Or in some country, and so that the governments can knock at your door and regulate you. Okay? And Binance was trying to avoid that by being everywhere and nowhere at the same time. Okay? To this day, we don't know where Binance headquarters are. Okay, it doesn't seem to be defined as to where the Binance head office is located. Okay, my feeling is that they did that on purpose. Okay, because they wanted to be decentralized. Okay, and CZ, the Changpeng Zhao, the current CEO, talked about that they were a decentralized entity. But that doesn't bode well with regulators. Regulators like to see, an office somewhere with an address and people working inside. You know what I mean. Because the problem is that each country has its own set of regulations. Okay, each country is different. In some countries, anything crypto is absolutely banned. You can't buy Bitcoin, you can't own Bitcoin, you can't do anything. In other countries, they're a lot more liberal, and they welcome crypto with open arms. Okay, and then you have countries in between, countries that are like, okay, what is this new thing? We don't really like this. It's disturbing us, and central banks don't quite like it also, because now they say, they're creating currencies that we don't have control over. Okay, and also you have the big financial investors like BlackRock, for instance, which is the largest mutual fund company in the world, with over 10 trillion with a T of funds under management, and they manage also another $50 trillion coming from other fund managers. Okay, so they pool all that together. That's over $60 trillion, and those guys want to invest in Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, but they find that it's a little bit too wild, and they want regulations to operate in the crypto world, as because there are scams, there are how can I say, there are scams, and then there are new products that are coming out. The one issue was that Bitcoin was being mined in countries that pollute a lot, like China was accused of polluting and producing electricity with charcoal and whatnot. So that's why, like, China decided, okay, we're going to crack down on this. We're going to close down all those stupid farms and on the stupid mining operations. And now Bitcoin miners are moving out of China, trying to find countries that will welcome them and countries that will produce electricity cheaply and without pollution. So now apparently a lot of them are moving to Texas and other places like that. Okay, so you have these influences. You have the large investors that are already invested in crypto, but they want to invest more. But due to regulations that they have to follow about climate change and pollution and whatnot, they're pushing the government to regulate crypto further. And governments love to regulate because they like to control what people do with their money. Because they want to collect taxes. That's the whole point of this. Okay? The point of this is governments want control to collect taxes on your earnings in crypto. And they don't like that DeFi is decentralized because there's no office that they can knock at. They don't like also that people can buy and sell crypto, make a profit, and it seems to be easy to evade taxes. So what they do is that they tell us that, oh, it's criminals that use Bitcoin, you know, those drug dealers, oh yeah, they all use Bitcoin to buy and sell drugs, bad. Oh yeah. Meanwhile, you can check online. You go to Scientific American, which is a reputable scientific journal, and you'll see that 90% of U.S. dollar bills are covered in traces of cocaine. Okay, so there's still a lot of actual physical dollars and euros and other currencies that are used to peddle drugs. So it's not a crypto invention, okay? They're using that as a pretext, okay? To scare people off and say, oh, look, it's full of scams and it's full of drug dealers, so we have to regulate to protect you. Meanwhile, we want your money. We want your taxes, okay? So that's the pretext. So, essentially, to get back to Binance, Binance is a little bit of a victim of this ecosystem, okay, that's fighting back, okay, against decentralization, okay, because it's easier to regulate people that are centralized, because that's the way traditionally it's been. Governments are centralized entities, banks are centralized entities, central banks are centralized entities because they're central banks, and regulators are all centralized entities. So they want to regulate centralized entities. They want Binance to become a centralized entity. And Binance, if they want to stay in business, they'll have to play with the regulators. Okay? They'll have to find a way to compromise and stay in business. Okay? Personally, I don't think Binance is in big financial trouble because of this. Why? Because if we look, give me a second. No, not this one. This one. Binance is having a lot of job postings online. As you can see, they are trying to hire hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of different people to work at many different kinds of jobs. Okay, I don't think they would advertise all these hundreds, and there's over 500 jobs here, if they had no money. Okay, that would be kind of stupid. I mean, maybe it's a publicity ploy, but come on, 500 jobs. Okay. Also, they're trying to hire a new CEO that understands regulators better than the current one. Okay. CZ already admitted that he's more of a tech guy than a regulator guy. So he's going to try to find a replacement, okay, to administer the regulation, okay, that they need and how they need to comply. They already hired some people from eToro that have experience with regulators. So they're trying to comply, but as CZ said, compliance is a journey. It's not going to happen overnight. So you can expect Binance to be under attack in the line of fire of several regulators around the world. Right now, they're under attack in Japan, in the UK, in Germany, in America, in Thailand, and so on and so on. So they're going to have to adapt in order to survive. They're going to have to play the game with the big fat regulators, okay, if they want to keep on operating in this crypto environment, okay. And it's going to take time, so there are going to be some growing pains. I'm sure there are going to be a lot more regulators attacking Binance or trying to attack Binance and so on. And you have to understand, in some cases, we talk about Binance being under attack in the UK, for instance. Okay, Binance has not been banned in the UK. Okay, what's happening is that the financial regulators said, okay, you cannot operate in regulated markets. What does that mean? Well, in the UK, tokens like crypto tokens are not regulated per se, but some derivatives of crypto tokens could be regulated. For instance, the futures market, okay, is probably regulated, I would think, and synthetic stocks. So looking at the news this year, I noticed that Binance was getting into a lot of hot water after they announced that they were opening a market for synthetic stocks. Basically, they created tokens that were, the value was based on shares of Tesla, for instance, or shares of Apple and Google and whatnot. And right after this happened, the German financial authorities contacted them, the Japanese, the UK, the US, and so on and so forth. So that was a mistake that kind of heated up the discussions with the regulators. So they decided to close that market after getting too much heat. Okay, so Binance now no longer offers synthetic stocks. So you would have to go into a DeFi market if you want to get them, like Mirror, for instance, or synthetics. And also, in other news, Uniswap shut down shut down the access to several tokens that they deemed were regulated. Many of them were synthetic stocks. So even Uniswap, which is supposed to be DeFi, had to pull out from that market on their regular interface, because that regular interface is operated by Uniswap Labs, which has an office, so it's centralized. Meanwhile, the protocol still has those same tokens, so you could still trade those tokens, but not directly on the Uniswap web page, because that's centralized, but the protocol is DeFi, decentralized, so they're still available, but not as conveniently as before. Okay, So you see there's probably going to be a lot of changes happening in the crypto world. Okay, let's see. Let's see. We're talking here, they're under a lot of regulation, scrutiny right now from around the world. You're going to hear a lot more about this in the coming months, and not just Binance. You're going to see a lot of other crypto markets are going to be under attack, but they're using Binance because it's the biggest one, so they want to set an example. Okay, they want to say, okay, look, we can attack the big guys. Okay, so if you're a smaller exchange, guess what we're going to do to you? And so that's what we're going to see in the coming months. I'm not worried too much that the crypto market is going to disappear. Why? Because BlackRock, remember those guys, and all the big financial institutions, they want to play in the crypto market. Already, believe it or not, the big institutions are about 85% of all Bitcoin trading right now. So when you see the market go up and down like this, it's not small investors like you and I, it's the big guys. Okay, they're moving the market up and down the way they want. Okay, and several big guys want to get in, but they're under more strict regulations, i.e. Climate change and so on. So they're waiting for regulators to change the game in their favor, and they're also waiting for Bitcoin to be more climate change compliant. Okay, so don't worry, the crypto market is not going to disappear, but there's going to be some changes. And most likely what's going to happen, the governments will want you to declare, okay, your earnings, if you make any. So you're probably going to have government wallets to check your taxes and so on. That's probably coming. Okay, or you're going to have people that are going to have to create wallets, and the wallets will have to do KYC, so know your customers. So you're going to have to give your name, address, phone number, social insurance number, and all that jazz in order to operate the wallet. So you're going to probably have a lot of that coming. Okay, be aware of that. Big Brother is getting into crypto. Okay, if you find this content interesting, please like and subscribe. Don't forget, I've got a free book you can download on low-risk crypto strategies. It's free. And if you don't like free and you want to pay, you can go to Amazon and buy the book also. Right, that's it for today. Thanks. Bye.